that when you give people a lot of information in one go, it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially around this particular topic, around the whole topic of the mind, the body, mental fitness. And I know from my own experience that the way that I've built up my own knowledge over the last decade or more has been through that consistent input. Now, for the vast majority of people, they've never had any mental health training at all. They might have experienced challenges with their own mental health. They might have gone through some kind of therapeutic intervention, but they don't really understand anything about the functionality of the brain. They don't understand all the different conditions that are on the mental health spectrum. So lots and lots of mental health first aiders that I've spoken to have shared with me that they found the training wonderful and inspirational, but that it's kind of like sort of a rabbit in headlights because you receive so much information over a couple of days. And then when it actually comes to sitting down with somebody, when it comes to effectively putting theory into practice, that's when it can feel a bit overwhelming. That's when you can start feeling a bit nervous, and all of those doubts and worries and fears come up about, am I doing the right thing? Am I making things worse? Am I saying the right thing? What approach shall I take? Where should I direct this person? And I know myself that when I first started to study solution focused psychotherapy and hypnotherapy 11 years ago, I spent a year studying how to be a solution focused psychotherapist and hypnotherapist. So I got all of this knowledge and understanding about the different mental health conditions, about the functionality of the brain, about our physiology. But actually, when I first sat down with people, when I was literally pulling them in off the streets to put my skills into practice, it was a completely different ball game, because even though I might have had an understanding about anxiety or about depression or about stress or about schizophrenia or about any of the mental health conditions, actually, when you've got somebody sat in front of you, especially if they're quite overwhelmed, if they're quite emotional, if their thinking is very black or white, all or nothing, it's a very, very, very different experience to be able to put that theory into practice. And that's where sometimes the wheels can come off and we can find ourselves feeling quite ungrounded. A lot of mental health first aiders have also felt that if they're having a number of conversations with an individual, and with an individual that's experiencing very high levels of emotion, maybe they're even experiencing suicidal thoughts, that again, you can be really out of your comfort zone if you don't have that grounding, if you're not sure how to put what you've already learned into practice. When it comes to talking to somebody, we never, ever know what's going to come out of a conversation. Even for me, working as a private coach and therapist, I might have had an initial conversation with somebody about what it is that they want to experience, what it is that they want to get from the sessions if we're to work together. But 9 times out of 10, the presenting problem is never the real problem. And I've sat in sessions where all number of things have come out, things that have come out about people's background, people's past. And I really have heard some things which just deeply move you as an individual, because you're human. You're human and you're there because you care about people. You're empathetic to people's feelings, to their needs. And so when we are experiencing a conversation which is, well, where it runs much deeper than, say, kind of just feeling quite overwhelmed at work, but it runs into areas like if somebody's experienced a miscarriage, if somebody's going through a bereavement, if somebody's dealing with a situation. In fact, I heard somebody messaged me today to say that they had to just sit down and tell their son that their son's got a brain tumor. I mean, these are not light topics. If you've got somebody that's saying, my wife's tried to commit suicide several times, I'm really scared about working in the office because I don't know what's going to happen when I get home and what I'll find. You know, these are they're a lot to deal with especially if you're quite new as a mental health first aider. And as you've heard me say numerous times, words don't teach, but experience does. So the more that you get the opportunity to put your skills into practice, working on each other, getting coached, getting mentored by me, then the more that you're going to grow those skills and confidence to a level that you know that whatever comes out in a conversation, comes out in a session, you have the capability to be able to deal with that in the best way possible. So I know for myself, when I was training as a solution-focused psychotherapist and a hypnotherapist, I had a mentor for the whole 12 months. And that mentor to me was priceless because, again, it was putting theory into practice.